This is It Was a Thing on TV.
Total Red Man has ever done something like this to me! It's, time!
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the dregs of humanity!
Episode 302, submission 2117. Teachers Only. Teachers Only aired on the NBC television network from April 14th, 1982 to May 14th, 1983 for 21 episodes over 2 seasons.
What you're going to hear is the first season opening theme, because between season 1 and season 2, they did like a giant revamp of people on the show, and there's a whole new theme song. And we'll talk about that once we get into season 2 proper. For now, like I said, enjoy the first season opening.
You know what that song reminds me of, Mike? I forgot what the video game was, but the background. Oh wait, it was. I think it was the background music for Kirby's Dream Land. It's like.
I will take your word for it. Believe it or not, I have never played a single Kirby game. What? Did Chico leave?
Oh no, I'm here.
Okay, you're just in absolute shock that
I'm in absolute shock. I mean, Kirby is a classic. How could you not have played that?
Nah, I think the initial Kirby game was a little after my video gaming time as a teenager.
Wow.
I'm more of a Mario person, and Kirby, I think it just falls outside my range because I really didn't have a. I'm guessing it was on SNES to begin with.
What?
Okay, what system was it originally on? Was it on NES?
No, Kirby's Dream Land was on Game Boy.
Okay, well, I had a Game Boy, but I was not into that series at that point. So,
well,
oops, I'm sorry.
I'm sure. You know what? I'm sure that there's like a Kirby All Stars collection out there. We're gonna get you a copy. We're gonna get you the system it's on, and we're gonna hook you up, man.
Well, that may not be necessary. Isn't one of the Kirby games on the SNES Classic?
Yes.
Okay, I've got an SNES Classic. I just need to plug in the cables to the TV and I'll be all set.
So do I. But first I need to clean out the bit in front of my television set. It's a bit sloppy. But we're not here to talk about Kirby. We're here to talk about the sort of fork in the road where two television legends meet. Our first story has to deal with Lynn Redgrave, who in the late 70s, early 80s would have been on a TV show called House Calls on CBS. She was on that show for 2 seasons before she was unceremoniously fired for, and now this is from Truth by Consensus Wikipedia, breastfeeding her newborn son at work, while the network claimed it was a budget dispute. Her then husband manager said, was it a budget dispute or breastfeeding? The answer, yes.
Why not both?
¿Por qué no los dos?
Yay! Oh, hold on. Do you know who replaced Lynn Redgrave on House Calls?
I'm looking at it, and
I'm looking at it too.
Mike,
Boy, good thing that Turnabout didn't last more than 6 episodes.
Say it.
Sharon Gless.
Yeah, Sharon Gless.
Do you think she smoked a cigar on this too? Like in the promo? Like in the promo drawing?
Yeah, I'm just thinking to myself, the folks behind Cagney and Lacey had to wait for house calls to go belly up before they could replace Meg Foster with Sharon Gless.
And they had to negotiate with Universal because remember, she was under contract to Universal.
Yep.
We talked about all this on the Turnabout episode. I apologize in advance.
Hey, we had to cover it for Shekapalooza, so.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But hey, at least we got Holmes and Yo-Yo.
We did.
Oh, since we mentioned John, let's just play it right here.
Starfleet regulations, that's outrageous!
Don't worry, John. Me and Chico will be discussing your movie in a few months.
Now that never gets old.
No. Hey, he was right, as we'll find out, Chico, in Star Trek 3. He had a point.
He did have a point.
So you mentioned one of the legends whose path crossed in this television show. Who is the other one?
The other one was Norman Bell, who had a falling out with his network, ABC, over being jettisoned from Three's Company to the Ropers. All of this was talked about in previous entry, The Ropers.
Duh.
Their roads would converge as NBC and Carson Productions were both producing and distributing this series, which is basically a behind the veil look at the lives of teachers.
Or at least a behind the veil look of teachers in 1982 and 83, because I guarantee teaching in 1982 is nowhere near what teaching is in 2002. Even in like the 17 years, 18 years I've been in the classroom, there's been a ton of changes. So I can only imagine how this might look nowadays. Well, actually, if you want to know how this might look nowadays, as I said at the end of episode 300, go watch Abbott Elementary. That is so true to form. It is a brilliant TV show. All my teacher friends and coworkers love that show. And that's an endorsement from this podcast. I'm speaking for all three of us. I don't care if Chico and Greg have never seen it. This is an endorsement for Abbott Elementary.
Now it's not an endorsement from me. It's my... So...
You know what? I watched an episode. Love it.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment, so...
Majority rules. It's endorsed.
This has been an endorsement. Go!
I'm the third... Hold on, I'm the equivalent of the third dentist who doesn't agree.
You're the dentist who doesn't give a shit. Just wants kids to eat whatever crap they want, and you're sitting there smoking. I don't care about health.
But yes, this was a behind the veil look at teachers at Millard Fillmore High School, created by another television veteran, Aaron Rubin, who worked on such shows as The Andy Griffith Show, Gomer Pyle, and Sanford and Son. His most recent endeavor, The Stockard Channing Show, that just did not work out well for him, did it?
No, not really.
But Aaron Rubin brought his writers over to the show. And I'll tell you right now, the team of writers is pretty stacked. I mean, you have George Yannick, who I believe worked on Welcome Back, Kotter. April Kelly, who would go on to create Boy Meets World with Michael Jacobs. And Larry Rosen and Larry Tucker, the writing team behind previous entry Jennifer Slept Here, among others. So we have a bunch of talented writers the production backing of Johnny Carson and NBC in 1982, which I believe would just be. Would this be the Grant Tinker era? I want to say.
Yeah, I think 82, 83 would be the last year of Grant Tinker.
Okay. So, sowing the seeds for Brandon Tartikoff, setting the stage, if you will, it seems like it should have a lot of promise, right?
Potentially, yeah.
Because we have Lynn Redgrave and Norman Fell leading an ensemble cast that has, well, one known commodity that we would know in the future right now. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about him and everybody else here. Lynn Redgrave plays Diana Swanson, a British English teacher who exudes an air of dignified sophistication without condescension. She's a warm people person who takes a hands-on approach, not only with her pupils, but in all of her endeavors. Think of her as Haley Mills' character in Good Morning, Miss Bliss.
Oh, and we'll be talking about that soon.
But the thing of it is, she's divorced and hasn't had much of a love life because of her teaching career. But she does have the occasional dates. Also like Miss Bliss in Good Morning, Miss Bliss.
Sadly, also like me. As much as I hate to admit that.
Hold on. Sadly like you? So hold on, Mike. Is there a janitor at your school who thinks that potatoes are the food of the 90s?
What if I said yes?
I'd be like, that's amazing.
Oh dear.
Hey, Chico, what can you do with potatoes?
We can boil them, bake them, fry, and flame. They're the food of the 90s. Norman Fell plays Ben Cooper, who's good with numbers. He's the principal who's good with numbers, having worked his way up from being a math teacher. Mr. Cooper prefers to keep the faculty at arm's length to make it less difficult in the instance where he has to act as a superior. At home, he has a nagging wife to contend with, and there are indications that he's attracted to Diana, who outright admits her attraction to him to the other teachers.
Woo!
Oh, that'll get you written up nowadays.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, Norman Fell had to have been at least 20 years older than Lynn Redgrave. At least.
To answer your question, Chico, about was Norman Fell 20 years older than Lynn Redgrave? In real life, close, 19 years.
No.
Off by one.
Now, they're the only two cast members who were around for both seasons. Because as I mentioned earlier, there was a huge revamp after the first season. Not just characters, but as I mentioned earlier, totally different theme song done by the Commodores. We'll talk about that later. In season one, you had playing Michael Dreyfuss, Adam Arkin.
He would be the son of famed thespian Alan Arkin, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, absolutely. Almost like acting royalty right there between the two of them, Adam Arkin and Alan Arkin.
Yeah, and of course, Adam Arkin was on Chicago Hope. Can't forget about Chicago Hope.
Yeah,
nope.
a very well-known name. And Michael Dreyfuss, he was a 5-year veteran at Millwood Fillmore School. And he was a science teacher, a dorky science teacher. Aren't most science teachers dorky?
Yeah, like
yes.
that, like the science teacher on Stranger Things. He's dorky.
I'm
He's
talking about in
incredibly
real life. I'm just thinking of the science teachers that I know, that I've worked with. They're either eccentric or dorky or some combination therein.
I remember my 8th grade science teacher, Eric Yeckley. He was incredibly dorky. He looked like a fat Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, yeah, he's fat. He's fat. Oh, never mind.
No, because I mentioned this. No, hold on. I was going to say, since I mentioned the science teacher from Stranger Things, did he have like a thing where whenever he showed up, Weird Al's My Bologna was playing? Remember that in like season 2 or 3?
I do.
That was so great.
All right. playing Gwen Edwards is Vanessa Clark, and Gwen Edwards is a French teacher who thrives by spouting off quips en français. Virtually nothing else is revealed about her as a person over the course of the season. She basically functioned as the token African American teacher. And she had 3 credits in her career. This show, Hill Street Blues, and something called Wendy Hooper, U.S. Army, which was a TV movie. Next, as Mr. Brody, is Norman Barthold, who's the vice principal and unrepentant suck-up. Brody the toady has held his position since the early 1960s. He believes in traditional values, he's petty, he's pompous, he's persnickety, and he still lives with his mother and is married to his job. One of his few responsibilities is creating staff questionnaires, and he's prolific at it, which aggravates the entire faculty. Norman Barthold, sadly, no longer with us, but you would probably remember him as one of the Ohio Tolls in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and also as the medieval knight in the original 1975 Westworld. But Greg, he played Mr. Endicott in the High Society episode of Perfect Strangers.
Oh, yes! The High Society episode of Perfect Strangers. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Wait, Chico, did you see episode 2 of She-Hulk yet?
Not yet.
Okay, well, I don't want to say anything about that. We'll wait until next week to...
I'm still getting over having my mind blown at the end of episode 1.
Oh, yeah, where we found out that Steve Rogers... Basically, hold on, I don't think we even talked about this part. But
yeah, we did. We played the clip.
I know, but we didn't talk about this thing that changes everything. Steve Rogers banged Peter Quill's grandma. Because, okay, the actress who played the person from the USO tour, who it's implied now that Steve had sex with, that actress also played Peter Quill's mom in Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think James Gunn has confirmed it's that character's mother.
James Gunn, you dirty dog.
So yeah, that changes everything. Steve Rogers had sex with Star-Lord's grandmother.
Captain America! Playing Mr. Papco is Richard Caron, and Mr. Papco is the janitor who's an oddball who does as little work as possible, lurks in the background, ready to interject something bizarre or profound into a conversation. He played Morris in the 1983 season of Webster as a recurring.
Okay, so that'd be the first season. We talked about that last week when we talked about the ABC shows that survived or didn't survive past the 83-84 season.
Yeah. And since we mentioned Webster, we might as well play this clip from Family Guy.
The category is actor and show. So, we need 5 consonants and a vowel.
Okay. Z, 4, Q, another Q, a third Q, and the Batman symbol.
Okay, no help there. 15 seconds. If you want to take a shot at it, talk it out.
Is it Alex Karras in Webster?
I don't believe it.
Oh my god, I just took a shot in the dick! Holy crap!
And rounding out the cast is Kit McDonough, who plays Lois, the school secretary who's a busybody with her finger on the pulse of the latest gossip. In her personal life, she's constantly on the hunt for Mr. Right.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of school secretaries I've worked with.
And Kit McDonough was in the entire run of Fast Times, which was, of course, the TV version of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That was another one of those shows where it's like, nobody, not a single person, Not a living soul. Television writer. Hey, let's do a TV version of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
She was also on a 1996 episode of Wings.
And as we revealed in episode 300, Greg rather likes Wings.
Yeah, we learned first time ever. Can you believe that was 2 episodes, guys?
Did you believe it was 1 week ago today? 1 week ago. Day and date, 1 week. Greg, for the first time, admitted to the world he loves Wings.
I know. It's hard to believe. Future historians will remember August 19th, 2022, the day I announced I loved Wings.
It is actually Saturday, so it's August 20th, but whatever.
No.
They don't. Oh, okay. August 20th. Yeah, because I was. Whatever. August 19th, August 20th. Same thing.
That, yeah, well, yeah.
You know, that's like one of my things. Whatever. This, that, same thing.
You sound like my father. No. 8 episodes were given a trial run in April and May of 1982. And they did well enough that NBC sort of ran it for mid-season in 1983 for a full-ish episode of another 13 episodes, but not without extensive retooling, which we will talk about when we get there. But right now, let's talk about Season 1. Episode 1, Diana, Substitute Mother. Diana comes to the realization that her star student is troubled, but the situation escalates when the girl becomes a runaway. Also, Diana gives into a flirtation with her neighbor and agrees to a date.
Ooh.
But playing the role of the troubled, aggrieved runaway, Ginger Peterson, is Cindy Fisher. She didn't do much. She was that girl from That Thing. She was in an episode of The Incredible Hulk, Greg. And she was also in she played an uncredited role in Airplane 2, the sequel, as the I don't want to sound forward person.
Oh, okay. Well, you'd also know that Art Fleming and Pat Sajak were in Airplane 2, right?
Yes.
Yes. And also, I think Bob Costas has a Blink All You'll Miss It cameo in Airplane 2. Man, that was...
And that's really all you need to know about Airplane 2. Because it was terrible.
You think it was terrible. Okay, hold on a second. Since you mentioned the Incredible Hulk, I have to do this. I'm doing the flex pose.
He's doing the Lou Ferrigno flex like.
Oh! Oh!
You have to grit your teeth together, son.
Oh! I don't know if you guys know this, but I lost a tooth like 2 weeks ago, so I can't grit all my teeth together. Oh!
You gotta be angry, man. No. Okay, episode 2, The Dreyfus Affair. In a malicious attempt to get a passing grade, Victoria entraps Michael and accuses him of being a sexual predator. Michael refuses to defend himself, so Diana gets to the bottom of things. Also, Mr. Brody pushes for a school dress code. Because of course he does. We have a name.
We have a sort of big name from the 80s, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Playing the role of Victoria, Heidi Bohey.
From Hotel.
Yep. She would be the student who's trying to sleep her way to a passing grade, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, more or less. She's trying to entrap the science teacher. Yeah. Because clearly she's not good at science. Heidi Bohey is clearly more prepared to be working in a hotel than working in a chemistry lab.
I see what you did.
Yeah. It was a natural transition. But of course, we know Heidi Bohey. Good heavens. What game did she not play in the 80s? She was on Pyramid, it seemed quite a bit. She was on Match Game Hollywood Squares for a week.
She was on the new Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, she was.
The new Hollywood Squares with, who's that, Shadow? John Davidson!
Oh, jeez. No, Greg, do it right.
John Davidson!
Oh gosh, I need a drink after that.
Oh, okay. Oh, guys. John Davidson!
Hold on a second, let me combine it. John Davidson! I did.
Greg doing the flex and the Shadow Stevens. Okay.
Hold on a second. I think we need to ask an expert how it's done. Shadow? Okay, we were close, guys, but I think this guy nailed it.
That guy has us beat.
He's a ringer.
He's federated.
I get it. Was I the only one to get it?
No, you were not the
Chico
only
got
one.
it.
I totally got it.
Okay.
Episode 3. Cooper's Grab for Gusto. Following the death of a friend, Mr. Cooper worries about his own mortality. Also, Mr. Cooper tells Mr. Brody that he can have more responsibility.
Uh-oh.
This could only go one way, which is absolutely horribly. Brody gets right to work implementing changes at school. Again, this could only go one way, absolutely horribly. By the way, we do have a name in this episode. Playing a doctor, Bill Zuckert, who was an old man in Naked Gun 33 the Third, Mr. Finkel, Ray Finkel's father in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, can you come here for a second to reveal the big twist in Ace Ventura? Sean Young is Ray Finkel.
Finkel is Einhorn.
Einhorn is Finkel.
Einhorn is a man. But he also played 3 different police officers in 3 different stories on the Wonderful World of Disney, Greg.
Oh!
I know you are a low-key Disney fan.
Oh, I'm a big fan of the Disney Sunday movie, Wonderful World of Disney, late 80s, early 90s era.
Yeah, you are a fan of the Walt Disney Anthology series, whatever they're calling it. He was in The Sky's the Limit in 1975, Strange Monster of Strawberry Cove in 1971, and The Wacky Zoo of Morgan City in 1970.
The second mention on this podcast of the Wacky Zoo of Morgan City. Is that on YouTube? I'm looking it up. The Wacky Zoo.
Why isn't the Walt Disney Anthology series on Disney Plus? I wonder.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, because the Return of the Shaggy Dog Show isn't on Disney Plus.
What the hell, Disney?
Okay, the Wacky Zoo of Morgan City is on YouTube. Okay, good.
Episode 4. Quote, unquote. The Parent-Teacher Association accuses Diana of undermining the moral fiber of their children, and the media descends when the school's young literary journalists twist Diana's words to make it seem that she condones premarital sex.
Uh-oh. Well, I agree, Susan. It's a very hot-button topic in 1982.
Yeah, especially when one of your staff mates is a prude. Couple names on this episode. Amanda West plays Amy Kelly. She was that teenage girl in that 80s movie because she was in Nightmare on Elm Street and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And then as Jeremy Stewart, you have Timothy Patrick Murphy, who is best known as Mickey Trotter on the 82 season of Dallas. Hey, look. We mentioned Dallas on the podcast, and it isn't actively killing a TV show.
Hey, It's the second week in a row we've mentioned Dallas because we mentioned Sue Ellen last week.
Yep.
Spoil alert! Spoil alert!
Mary Crosby put the bullet in J.R. Ewing's body. Episode 5, The Makeup Test. Diana refuses to give a makeup test to Jeff, an unrepentant slacker.
Slacker.
So his rich father goes over her head. This infuriates Diana and leads Jeff to confess self-sabotage to his dad. Meanwhile, Michael's classroom is looted. Now, fun fact, this is your Nino fact of the day here. This was actually the first episode shot.
Oh, neat.
Another fun fact, playing the role of slacker Jeff, someone who knows a little bit about slacking off in the 80s, Michael J. Fox.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
2 Principal Strickland sound bites in 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
We have 2 more names in this episode. Playing Mr. Clayton, his father, Dana Elcar. Of course, this was before he would be famous for MacGyver.
Yes! Because he was Pete on MacGyver.
And playing Coach Bowers, Howard Platt.
And
From a previous entry, Flying High.
Yeah, we talked about him in Flying High. I think he's best known playing Officer Hopkins, known as Hoppy, on Sanford and Son.
Correct.
He was the partner of Hal Williams.
Episode 6. I've got a crush on you. Greg, the star football quarterback, falls for Diana during their tutoring sessions. And jealousy... Yeah! And jealousy puts his future in jeopardy when Michael tries to intervene. Playing the role of said football player is Michael Spound, who would go on to future fame as one of the cast members, along with Heidi Bohe, who we already talked about on this episode, of Hotel.
And really, come on. We love Hotel. James Brolin, Connie Selica, come on.
It made Sherry Belafonte Harper's career.
Oh, it definitely
No,
did.
it made Nathan Cook's career. Let's get it right.
Okay, yeah, it did
¿Por
make
qué no
Nathan...
los dos, Mike?
It did make Nathan Cook's career. You are right about that.
Thank you.
Episode 7, The Once and Future Teacher. Bogged down with paperwork and meetings, the retirement of an elder coworker prompts Diana to toy with the notion of leaving the teaching profession. A couple names in this episode. Baby Osterwald played Miss Pritchard, who's just this incredible old-time Hollywood actress from the 50s and 60s. And we talked about her when she played Aunt Tilly in Chris vs. Donald on Get a Life.
Oh, season something that as of the time we're recording this is going to be on the Decades Binge this weekend. She played Sophie Steinberg, who I believe is Bernie's mother in the series Bridget Loves Bernie.
Oh, Bridget Loves Bernie.
Oh, I can't wait to see that tomorrow. I've read so much about it, and I'm very intrigued about, how good it is, but also I've seen why it got canceled. The social mores were different back in the early 70s than they are nowadays.
Yeah, they were. I imagine that she is the one who is retiring because, I mean, look at her. She looks like she is ready to retire.
Yeah, she would have been like 82 at the time this was done, so definitely retirement age.
Yeah, and the other name is that guy from That Thing, Arthur Rosenberg, who plays Mr. Fletcher. Now, he was in Hunter as Commander Lester Kane, but I only mention his name because he was in Captain America 2, Death Too Soon in 1979.
Is that one of the Red Brown Captain America movies?
Yes, it is.
Oh, God. Only another, 30 years or so before we get America's ass who bangs Star-Lord's granny.
Captain America!
I'm going to throw out a third name.
Okay.
Playing an uncredited party guest in this episode is Bob Harks. The only reason I mention it is he was on 3 episodes of a show that we're going to cover. We just talked about it in 301. He played 3 different characters on 3 different episodes of I Had 3 Wives.
Oh, that's terrific. Because remember, Victor Garber on that show had 3 wives.
But besides that, he seemingly has been on almost everything. He was on 5 different episodes of Mr. Merlin, playing what appears to be 4 different roles, all uncredited. This guy is the master of the uncredited role. I'm taking a look at this. He is uncredited in everything. Everything
Wow.
I'm looking at. I'm not even joking about this. Fantasy Island, uncredited. Lou Grant, 20 different episodes. And it looks like, let me see here. If this is all 20 of them are, all 20 episodes, he was uncredited on Lou Grant. What the heck?
He is the perennial that guy from that thing.
This is amazing. Everything he has listed in IMDb, he is uncredited. This is crazy. Policewoman, 19 episodes. And guess what? 19 episodes, he was uncredited. I gotta see if this guy has a credit anywhere. This is crazy.
This may be a first. Someone on our show who doesn't have a single credit to his name. This guy must be the Moonlight Graham of acting.
I'm looking, and yeah, I'm going all the way back now to the early 70s and late 60s. Still, everything is uncredited. Uncredited, uncredited, uncredited. There's got to be a credit for him here. Hold on. No, I mean, I'm looking at everything is uncredited. Every last thing is uncredited. I don't know why he didn't want to take credit, but Bob Harks, you're getting credit here finally. That is amazing. I'm sorry. That's oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. He did get credit for 1 role.
Gee, which role is that now?
Actually, I'm sorry. Looks like he got credit for a number of roles. All right, let me just double check really fast. This is fascinating. From what I can see, he has been credited with exactly 3 roles. He played a priest in Flashdance, credited. He was credited as a priest in Flashdance. He was credited as a priest again in a 1990 movie called Sibling Rivalry. And he was also credited in Forrest Gump as a university dean. That looks like literally the only 3 roles where he got credits.
And yet, he is uncredited in so many other roles.
If you look at IMDb, it says he has 531 credits. 528 of them he was uncredited, or at least not necessarily roles, but movies or titles. So looking at IMDb, he was uncredited in 528 different titles of movies or TV shows. Credited in just 3. That's crazy.
All right, guys, I was Googling the movie Sibling Rivalry because it sounded familiar to me. It was a 1990 black comedy film directed by Carl Reiner. Do you want to hear this cast?
I do.
We have Christy Alley, Sam Elliott, Jamie Gertz, Bill Pullman, Carrie Fisher, and last, but certainly not least, Scott Bakula.
Greg, you're missing so many other names. I got to cover the gaps that you have here. You forgot Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill's, yeah, it wasn't listed on top of the cast in Google, but okay.
Bill Macy. Bill Macy.
Yeah.
And somebody we even talked about on episode 301, Patrick Cronin.
Patrick Cronin. Oh, and I know we talked about this guy in the past, John Randolph, who was the original actor who played George Costanza's dad on Seinfeld. I know we've talked about him before on the podcast.
That is a loaded cast.
Episode 8, and this would be the season finale. Guns and Butter. The school board is looking to make budget cuts, so they send in a humorless man who replaces Mr. Brody with a computer. Playing said role, Hunter Hogan, George Weiner.
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken?
I was just going to say, we've talked about him plenty. I think this is at least the third or fourth time we've talked about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the line right there from Spaceballs.
And you know what? Maybe making his case as a Hall of Fame candidate.
He's a fringe candidate, to say the least, yes.
He's one of those guys who will get, if he gets in, will probably get in like the 10th ballot.
He's on that sort of fringe ballot with Terry Kaiser. Maybe Terry Kaiser has a better chance, but...
Yeah, because he's Bernie.
Because he's Bernie, exactly. And we've talked about him on probably close to a half a dozen TV shows at this point.
And that is season 1. Now, NBC gave this show another season, but they put it in mid-season. They only gave it 13 episodes, and the show itself overwent extensive retooling. In fact, there was a new theme song.
Yep, here it is. So not only did they have a new theme song, but literally everybody was replaced on the cast except for Lynn Redgrave and Norman Fell. So let's talk about those folks.
Wait, hold on. Time out. Who did the theme for this?
Oh, the theme song was done by the Commodores.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier.
So they expanded on the two characters who stayed from season 1, Lynn Redgrave and Norman Bell. Diana Swanson was retooled as a guidance counselor who married a debonair grifter, built up the courage to leave him, and coerced a confession from him from the police. Her best friend is Sam, and she gradually becomes frenemies with Sherry, whose secret she keeps. She loves her students and fights for their well-being. So, again, expanding and enhancing on her season 1 character. She gets a promotion from teacher to guidance counselor, which makes sense. And Ben Cooper was rewritten as a World War II veteran, hardened by the life and death of his wife. So, he has a nagging wife in season 1, and in season 2, his wife is dead. Now, he and his secretary, Sherry, have been having an affair for years. But he's opted to keep his love hidden for fear that it will ruin their business reputations. He comes across as gruff, and his decisions aren't always popular. Okay, so he's moved on from Diana, then. Now, we talked about Sherry before. Playing the role of Sherry in her first TV role, Jean Smart.
Of course, this would be another 20 years before that bastard Charles Loken made her life hell on 24.
And at least another 5 years before she made her career working with Dixie Carter and Delta Burke on Designing Women.
Sugar!
Sherry's principal secretary and longtime mistress, the resident antagonist who's shamelessly condescending and bitchy toward everyone. But she genuinely loves Mr. Cooper and softens toward Diana, who's her occasional confidant. Playing another science teacher named Michael Horn, not Michael Dreyfuss, but Michael Horn, is Tim Reed. And really, if you don't know who Tim Reed is,
there's no helping.
Really.
Yeah. This would have been between WKRP and Simon for him.
Oh yeah.
Because he didn't join the cast of Simon until after this.
Right.
Yeah, this would be like, if you will, a gap year, because WKRP ended in 1982 and Tim Reed didn't join Simon till I believe the sometime in the 83-84 season.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he was on Match Game Hollywood Squares in 1984 and was promoted as being on Simon and Simon. So we're using a little bit of logic here, and also we're doing sort of a callback to Match Game Hollywood Squares at the same time. So yeah, he had that little gap year between WKRP ending and joining Simon and Simon. There you go.
Yep, second mention of Match Game Hollywood Squares. And I hope he was on the new Hollywood Squares with, wait, who was that?
He was.
Oh, absolutely he was.
With his
yes.
wife.
Oh, yeah, because they would have been promoting Frank's place, yeah. But hold on.
Right.
Hold on. Shadow, who hosted the new Hollywood Squares again?
Say it with your diaphragm, sir.
Greg, did you find a running gag to start this fourth batch of 100 episodes?
Yes, we did.
Oh, no. We've created a monster.
So Michael Horn, science teacher, proclaimed to be the most beloved teacher by the entire student body, down to earth, loves technology, shows compassion for everyone he meets. He's basically Mike Klaus if Mike Klaus was Venus Flytrap from WKRP in Cincinnati.
Chico doesn't know me that well.
I think, you know what? I think you're a good chap. I think you're a good teacher.
Chico doesn't know me that well.
Okay. Next, as Spud Laboon, the boys' gym coach, who's dim-witted but amiable, and who's best friends with Michael, Steve Ryan, known as J. Walter Weatherman from Arrested Development.
And for clarification purposes, I think we need to state not the Steve Ryan known for creating blockbusters and doing the artwork on Classic Concentration.
No, this is another Steve Ryan.
But it would be darn cool if he was on this show.
Yeah?
Yeah, it would be really cool if he was on this show. But
by the way, follow him on all social media at Steve Ryan Games. Tell him Chico sent you. Playing the role of Samantha Sam Keating, the English teacher who was Diana's successor and next-door neighbor and best friend, Teresa Ganzel.
What do we need to say about her? Oh, she is a sweetheart.
She's a darling.
And also, we did talk about her previously on the Duck Factory.
Sam is sweet but shallow and obsessed with material possessions. Now I guess we can play Is This Typecasting?
Don't typecast Teresa Ganzel.
This has been Is This Typecasting?
What did I do? Did I just cancel Is This Typecasting?
No, you just answered the question.
Oh, no, I'm just saying it because Teresa Ganzel's a sweetheart.
Oh, she's a darling. We love Teresa Ganzel here.
She's lovely. She's adorable. Absolutely. I was going to say, I think you and me met her. I know I met her. I got her autograph on an 8x10. Yeah, we met her. Gosh, at this point, it would be 16 years ago during one of the game show congresses. Yes. Because she was at least not a panelist. I think she was like the assistant to J. Keith Van Stratton when he was doing his What's My Line live stage show at the Game Show Congress. Yeah.
Yes!
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I'm doing the Keaton Thompson. Yes! And rounding out the season 2 cast is Barney Bettleman, played by Joel Brooks. He's a music teacher, a lovelorn, sad sack tech geek who's so concerned for his own safety that he's turned his apartment into a booby-trapped fortress.
And of course, we've mentioned Joel Brooks on this podcast many times, but also, Mike, he was in that TV movie you brought up to me, Dinner at 8 with Lauren Bacall.
We're having a call back to Dinner at 8? Oh,
yes.
My gosh. The things that happen on this podcast. But of course, where you would know Joel Brooks from, he played Pyramid quite a bit, but also he was on My Sister Sam, among other things.
Yes.
And anybody who's ever seen My Sister Sam knows why we are never going to cover it. We do not have to explain it. and
Oh,
we are
no.
not going to.
No.
No.
I mean, it only lasted 2 seasons or so, but yeah, if you know the story,
We don't have to explain why we're not going to cover it.
if you know the story, there's your answer.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the story,
Google it. We're not here to educate you.
well, we can educate you, but I think it's best if you read up on the subject.
Yeah. So let's go over season 2. Episode 1, The Rose. After Diana rejects the advances of David, who is now played by Alan Feinstein, she's overwhelmed by jealousy when he sends Sam a single red rose to ask her out. Also, Michael experiments with pheromones and electricity. That's different. Okay, playing a teacher and experiment volunteer, Renee Jacobs, who is actually the Lady of the Maze in season 1 of the Family Channel's Masters of the Maze, if you remember that.
Oh my gosh.
Holy crap, that's a deep cut.
That's a very deep cut. Oh my god.
Damn right it is.
Who hosted Masters of the Maze? I forget who.
Season 1 was hosted by J.D. Roth, and season 2 was hosted by Mario Lopez.
Oh, okay. I knew one of those two hosted.
No,
Okay.
they both hosted.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, as a palate cleanser, let me give you another credit. She voiced April O'Neil on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, the 1987 Teenage
Nice.
Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, that's
the OG,
right.
yes, the OG, Turtles.
Because we've already mentioned, because Barry Gordon did a voice. I believe he voiced Donatello on the 87 TMNT.
He did.
But also, Chico, you know who voiced Shredder on the 87 TMNT, right?
I do. Uncle Phil himself, James Avery.
That's right. But also, we all know that in the License to Drive, James Avery, he loves his coffee.
He does.
He does. And don't mess with his coffee in License to Drive, or make him tip it over, because he will not be happy.
Nope. He will mess with your beep. Oh, another name on this episode that we talked about earlier in the podcast, playing a handsome man.
Handsome man!
That's his credit. Handsome man. Craig Littler, who you remember as Jason on Jason of Star Command.
Oh, that's great.
Episode 2, Cooper's Arrangement. Diana conspires with the rest of the faculty to find Mr. Oh, by the way, back it up a bit. Among the other changes made in season 2, the teachers are no longer at Millard Fillmore High. They are at Woodrow Wilson High. They renamed.
Why?
Yeah, is that an upgrade? I don't know.
I guess Millard Fillmore is not a popular enough president. Although it would be incredibly popular a couple of years later with head of the class, just saying.
Well, just imagine if this was rebooted nowadays. They'd be going to
Mr. Black.
High.
Oh, hell no.
They already had that. It was called
Mr. Black.
University. And we all know what happened with that.
Episode 2, Cooper's Arrangement. Diana conspires with the rest of the faculty to find Mr. Cooper a date, but she discovers he's secretly in a relationship with Sherry. What? Meanwhile, after delegating responsibility to the teachers to paint over graffiti, Sherry becomes jealous when Michael is featured on TV. Well, look at him. He's freaking Tim Reed, for crying out tears. Episode 3, Take This Job and Shove It. Sherry is miffed when Diana and Principal Cooper swap jobs. Also, Michael tries to figure out how to deal with the child who's being abused, and delinquent student Punch steals everything that's not nailed down. Playing the role of Punch is Roberto Roman, who not really known for much. I mean, his longest lasting credited role was as an officer on the new Adam 12. and that was only for 6 episodes. Episode 4, Praise the Lord and Pasta Ammunition. Vinny leads a student revolt which finds the cafeteria barricaded, and Diana locked in the kitchen with a quarreling Sherry and Principal Cooper. On the other side of the door, Michael and Sam fight for control as teachers are instructed to carry on with business as usual. Joel Brooks does not appear in this episode, but 3 names do appear on this episode. Playing the role of Vinny Minetti is Brian Robbins, who would gain later fame as a cast member on Head of the Class, and later success in life as the head of programming at Nickelodeon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he's now the head of programming at Nickelodeon. But we don't talk about his other castmate on Head of the Class.
I'm even getting creepy vibes about talking about him. Just saying.
Yeah.
And playing Julie, Donna Wilkes, who we talked about in one of our best episodes. Hello, Larry. Hello, Larry.
Oh, yeah, and didn't we discover that she was in that stripper movie? Angel, or whatever it was.
Yes.
Honor student by day, stripper by night.
Yes, we did.
One more name to add, playing Paulie in this episode, is Mike Darnell. You don't know him as an actor, but he's been a TV executive for some time, and he was the executive producer on several shows, including Mental Samurai, Love Connection, back in 2017, 2018, with Andy Cohen, and Little Big Shots, and Moment of Truth even. Oh my gosh.
Yep. He was the king of reality television at Fox, and he spent 19 years there before moving to Warner's to take a similar position there. Fun fact, the fish in the fishbowl on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader are named Darnell and Mike, presumably after Mike Darnell.
Oh, neat.
Thank you, random fifth grader from 1985.
Who's impressed by those WWF LJN figures?
Have you seen them? They're huge.
I was to say, wouldn't you be impressed by them?
Yeah. I mean,
you need 2 hands to carry the legs.
Yeah. You got the Hulkster, you got Hillbilly Jim, you got Big John Studd, and you got Cheeky Baby.
Don't forget Greg the Hammer, man. You forgot Greg the Hammer Valentine. Don't forget Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Yeah, that's because you want him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll stick with my SD Jones that I got at an indie show at Hampton Bays in 2016 for $5.
Good for you.
Oh, good for you.
Hey, anytime I can make an SD Jones reference on this podcast, I'll do it.
Episode 5, Rex the Wonder Husband. Diana's conman ex-husband rents out her apartment to Principal Cooper's brother-in-law. Also, Vinny tests reactions to new school mascots by bringing in exotic animals. Brian Robbins makes a return appearance. Playing the role of Rex Swanson, John Bennett Perry. Not known for much. I mean, he is that guy from That Thing, but you would probably know his son. His son is Matthew Perry.
Oh!
Oh, I thought you were going to say that.
Well, you know what? It is thanks to Matthew Perry that we have this podcast in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to find the dead guy in that picture. Right, Mike?
Yeah, you got to find the dead guy. I never found it.
No.
Did you?
No.
Okay.
Well, hey, if you're keeping score, that's 2 straight episodes we've mentioned somebody from Friends.
Episode 6, Teacher's Pet. Michael has overwhelming chemistry with a new student, but the situation worsens after Diana learns she's an undercover narcotics agent. Also, Sam sells junky designer jewelry to earn money for a pair of alligator boots. When did this become an episode of Breaking Bad? Playing the role of the undercover agent Beth Perry is Faye Hauser.
The biggest credit I see for her is she played Carrie Warner in Roots: The Next Generations.
Episode 7. Take the money and run. Mr. Batterman wins the $150,000 state lottery and promptly drops dead.
Susan, what do you have to say about this? Oh!
This leaves Diana in a moral dilemma over what to do with the ticket. Also, Diana realizes Liz is responsible for a rash of school thefts. Playing the role of Purnell Batterman is Arthur Peterson Jr., who played the Major on Soap.
Yes, he did. He played the very stoic Major on Soap. One who never smiled when they took the pictures in the opening credits. Well, he was a military guy. Couldn't show his true feelings.
Nope, couldn't do it. And playing the role of Liz Palomino is Karen Argud, who is known as Sonia Harper on the first 2 seasons of Mama's Family, aka the NBC seasons.
And we will be bringing up Mama's Family later on this episode. Stay tuned. Specifically, the NBC run. There might be a connection here.
Episode 8. Otherwise Engaged. After Diana meddles in her relationship with the principal, Sherry flaunts her sudden engagement to a handsome, wealthy young man. Meanwhile, Sam diets in hopes of fitting into a bikini that she's had her eye on. Playing that wealthy young man, who I'm looking at his name, that sounds like the name of a wealthy young man. Chad Devereaux III. Playing that role is Michael Lemon, who was a defensive tackle and nose guard at the University of Kansas in the 70s.
And he's appeared on 2 other shows we've previously covered, The Master and The Powers of Matthew Starr. He's got the trifecta.
Episode 9. Beatlemania. Diana has a whirlwind romance with the substitute, but the relationship sours when she learns he's the substitute janitor.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
that wasn't what I was expecting. Oh my god.
Wait till you find out who plays him.
All right.
David Aykroyd. No relation to Dan Aykroyd, but...
Yeah, didn't we talk about him in Aftermath?
Yes, we did. He played Dr. Mark Boyer in Aftermath. Also played Jesus in The Greatest Adventure Stories from the Bible.
Jesus.
Congratulations, Diana. You have a romance with Jesus. Episode 10, Leather and Lace. After the state funding committee cancels the auto shop and nursing classes, Diana goads the students to disassemble Mr. Cooper's car and reassemble it in the teacher's lounge. Unfortunately, they refuse to reverse the process. Also, Mrs. Darnell eagerly awaits for her pregnancy to be over. Playing the role of Mrs. Darnell, somebody we talked about on our last episode, Edie McClurg.
Oh, yes, we did. We did talk about Edie McClurg last time. Oh, my God. That's another future show Hall of Famer right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Episode 11. It's my party and I'll cry if I want to. Cry if I want to.
Cry if you want to.
Cry if you want to. Diana hosts a party for her co-workers under false pretenses, hiding the fact that the mayor is to present them an award. To get even with Mr. Cooper for his critique of her outfit, Sherry convinces him that it's a costume party, and a bloated version of Michael's high school crush comes to town. Spud and Scooter have their first fight on their 11th anniversary, and Sam finds love in the elevator when she's trapped with the school board man. Okay, so Jim Klein, who is the mayor, was played by James O'Sullivan. I don't believe he's been in anything of note, but oh my god! Oh my god! And the role as Yolanda, Jo Marie Payton.
Harriet Winslow. That's all you need to
Harriet
know.
Winslow.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yep. It's a shame that Cora Winslow blurbed to Sherman Helmsley that his girlfriend was a stripper because he was going to invite Carl and Harriet to see her perform at the Boom Boom Room.
Oh, I needed our monthly reference to the Boom Boom Room. That's going to be so lore, I think. The Boom Boom Room.
Why did Sherman Helmsley think that? Maybe I can understand Coral, but why would he think Harriet Winslow would be impressed by this? Why?
I have no idea. No idea whatsoever.
And that is a great episode. That's the same episode where, hold on, Steve and Eddie accidentally eat Waldo's cake for whole Mac. They just leave a cake. Waldo leaves a cake lying around, and Steve and Eddie are like, "Ooh, Waldo met this cake. I don't think he's gonna mind if we eat it." And then it's like, "Oh, I made a cake for home ec. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hilarity ensues.
Yes. You better watch it on HBO Max before they take all Family Matters away, too.
Episode 12. Dead mice don't wear plaid. The school mouse dies while in Diana's care, so Sam replaces it, unaware that Michael was monitoring the rodent's illness. Also, a grouchy repairman works on the school's heater, playing said repairman Bill Saluga. But you would know him more as Ray J. Johnson. You can call me Ray, and you can call me Jay, and you can call me Ray J, but you don't have to call me Johnson.
I always think of that one Simpsons bit with Gabbo. Krusty has Hugh Hefner, he has Johnny Carson and Bette Midler. What do we have? Ray J. Johnson. Ay, 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 ay.
I'm pretty sure we talked about him at some point because we've made reference to that in the past. Problem is, I don't see what TV show he may have been on that we talked about. But we definitely mentioned the whole Ray J. Johnson thing.
And finally, episode 13, Loss of Innocence. In a very special episode, Sam devolves into a shell of herself after being mugged. We don't get a look at the perpetrator in this one, so sorry. Pretty much all they wrote on that, and frankly, all they wrote on the series. Now, as far as scheduling is concerned, it's a bit of an interesting story because this was actually first run as a trial run in between runs of new episodes of Love, Sydney, which, if I'm not mistaken, would already be on the outs.
I think it got sent to Saturday nights at this point. So it was essentially a burn off. But yeah, this replaced Love, Sydney. And the competition really wasn't that good for this show on Wednesdays at 9:30. At least on the first week, it went up against The Fall Guy on ABC, and on CBS, it went up against the second half hour of a 2-hour Dukes of Hazzard. Fall Guy and Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, that's a 1-2 punch right there. But it did get a little bit better. It still competed in later weeks against Fall Guy, but then you had the Wednesday night movie of the week on CBS. The second half hour of a 2-hour movie. For season 2, it got a slightly different time slot. It went from Wednesday nights to Thursday nights for starters, following Gimme a Break. That didn't last terribly long. It moved to Saturday nights at 9:30 again. They love putting this at 9:30 for some reason. On Saturdays, On ABC, it went up against The Love Boat. And again, this is probably about the fifth season, sixth season of Love Boat. So it's sort of waning at this point, kind of, sort of. But on CBS, there was just, again, a movie of the week, a Saturday night movie. This is the second half hour of a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the schedule. What would be on the schedule February, March of 1983 on NBC? You'd have, this would be basically a night for family comedy, Different Strokes, a rerun of Silver Spoons, Mama's Family, and Teachers Only. Which one of these doesn't belong, don't you think?
Well, I'm going to argue this. Again, it's Saturday night. Let's remember this is Mama's Family's second season before NBC got rid of it and it ended up in syndication. So Mama's Family maybe is a little bit out there too, just saying, because again, both shows would be gone shortly after moving to Saturday nights. Obviously, Different Strokes, Silver Spoons still have quite a bit of mileage left, but Mama's Family, it's going to be in syndication shortly after its cancellation on NBC.
Same could be said for Silver Spoons, but that would be further on down the line.
Well, that'd be like 87 or so. That'd be a good 4 years away.
And Different Strokes would just be on another network by the time that show ended.
Yeah. That moved to ABC for the final season in 85, 86. Yep.
But yeah, and the writing was pretty much on the wall when Teachers Only went up against a 2-hour episode of The Love Boat. It was the second most popular show of the night. The first most popular show of the night was the show that it followed, T.J. Hooker. It could not get up anywhere above a 12. And NBC just thought, cut their losses and move on. And that's exactly what they did. And if I'm not mistaken, they also moved on from Grant Tinker at the end of the season too. So, because it would be Brandon Tartikoff who came on in 1983, if I'm not mistaken. So season 2 didn't really much have anything in the way of momentum, and The Love Boat came on and killed what was left of it. To this day, there have been no official home releases. There have been nothing available streaming, but all 21 episodes of the show are available on YouTube unofficially.
I'm going to make a little correction, Chico. The entire series was made available for streaming on CTV's website in their throwback section in 2021. Taking a look at the CTV website, for whatever reason, whether it's geo-blocked or if it was taken down, I cannot find it.
Well, I did look. It is still there, but it's giving me the black screen that says, "We're sorry, this content is only available for viewing in Canada." This is where your VPN's going to come to the rescue. If you want to watch Teachers Only on the CTV site. Officially.
And really, if you just want to see it, period, it is on YouTube. It looks like somebody ripped all the episodes, but to avoid copyright issues, they did one of those things where they have a giant border around it.
Yeah.
I find that highly annoying, but that's how you get around copyright issues because, they have ways of seeing the bugs and all that. So go at your own peril, unfortunately. If you want to see it, it's on YouTube, but it's not in full screen. So if you maximize it, your window's still going to look like it's like 640 by 480. Sorry about that.
But yeah, it's pretty much a forgotten gem of a show. Lynn Redgrave would go on to have a lasting career in the 80s. Norman Fell would go on to become a television legend. Nobody's career was done in by this show. If anything, a couple of careers actually got their start on this show. Gene Smart, Brian Robbins. But in 1982, Teachers Only wanted to be the next great high school sitcom. Instead, it was a thing on TV. And looking at the clock on the wall and forgetting what Mike said about the bell doesn't release us, I release us. But I'm going to say it anyway. You can catch all 301 previous installments of our show on itwasathingontv.com. You'll also find our live shows, mini-sodes, and all sorts of goodies from the last almost 3 years of this podcast. Amazing, isn't it? And of course, you can follow us on all social media at It Was a Thing on TV, except for Facebook, who I guess didn't really like our teacher, so he put us at It Was a Thing on TV podcast. And of course, if you're on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. So you can stay up to date on all of our future entries. And also, stay tuned because later this week, Greg and I are going back in the booth for another live watch.
Yeah, because, hey, in
back
2 days...
Back to school week ain't over, friends.
Yeah, in 2 days, it's actually, well, as we're recording this, tomorrow is week 0 of college football, but next week it's officially going to be week 1 of the 2022 NCAA football season.
Yep, but all across America, high school football is in full swing. And what says high school football more than the Friday Night Lights? Am I right?
Oh, yes. Wink, wink.
That's all I'm going to say about that subject.
Well, good. We'll talk about what's going to come up next week then.
Yep, next week we celebrate, for the first time on this podcast, Star Trek Day.
Yes. It is the 56th anniversary of the premiere of Star Trek coming up. And to celebrate, we're talking about something that we've discussed a couple of times on this podcast. The direct sequel to the original series.
What would have been seasons 4 and 5 of the original series?
Yes.
But also, we're going to start the NFL season very shortly. I think this next episode is actually going to be that Thursday night kickoff night.
Yeah, who is playing in the third? It's got to be the Rams in the kickoff, right? It is, Rams against Buffalo is the opener.
By the way, as we record this, the Bills are getting absolutely hammered by the Panthers right now.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, because this is not football.
It's not real football.
It's preseason football. It's free football.
It's fake football.
So getting back to the show that we're talking about next week, this is one I think Greg has stuff to say about. I think we all do, but I think Greg has a lot of stuff to say about this.
So what happens in 2010 when you get the 2 biggest wide receivers of the 2000s on one team and you give them a TV show together? Well, I got one thing to say. Hilarity ensues.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Child Please.
Oh, yeah, that too. Child Please, considering who was on this.
Yeah. But also next week, we have another live show. And we did this probably about, 6 months ago or so?
A few months ago.
And we had a lot of fun with it. And Greg's giving us a second serving of it.
Yes.
He found something that's worthy of doing a second live show on this topic.
Yes. So once again, next week, we will be returning to the world of Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. And once again, Mike and Chico will ask themselves, is what they're seeing fact or fiction?
And that's coming up next week, right here on It Was a Thing on TV. For Greg, for Mike, I'm Chico. Thank you so much for listening. Please be kind to each other, and we will see you for the next one.
Wow!
Class dismissed, guys.
Oh, thank heavens.
Oh, thank heavens.
Oh, you two were both sleeping on your cell phones all period. Don't give me that stuff.
No, you're right about that.
Well, he's right, man.
That's why I'm the teacher.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah.